right, Dolphin fans. I did a Bills podcast to get in evaluator mode. It was a tough day for all of us. For me, it was doubly tough because, the one consolation I had is when I was watching this play out is like, well, at least I can hold on if I some susser on the fact that I called this in the preseason. Like I literally said this was going to happen and through the season when we had these gaudy run numbers and things were kind of playing out good. And then I said this, people called me an idiot. I said, I figure, it played out kind of the way I said, but I got called an idiot again. So it's really difficult because I could just ride the gravy train, listen to what all the big shows are saying. Dude is the worst. McDaniel's the worst. And it's not to say that they didn't make mistakes, but you got a system quarterback who's not ultra mobile or big, and you don't give him an offensive line. It's no good. I don't care what everybody's saying because the stats and the facts and the film don't prove it out. McDaniel, you take a green run coordinator who was in the booth, pull him down and say, hey, I know you've never done any of this before, but I want you to call the plays, be the head coach. Oh, and we got to go win now because I'm going all in. We got about 2, maybe 3 year window. I mean, it's got to point back to, obviously with Tua, obviously with McDaniel, they got culpability, but it has to go to Grier, but nobody's even saying it. And so you're going to get, it was before, it was Flores was destroying Tua. He's an evil guy with dead bodies. And then McDaniel's a genius. Tua's now found his way. He's got his swag. And now Tua's a loser. McDaniel's an idiot. And then it will be, you know what? We got to go with Fangio. His defense has been good. And then Grier will rise again like he always does. Omar Kelly calls, he's a survivor, which means he will do anything, bury anybody to remain where he is. Remember, he built everything. He's been here since 2016 and had major influence before that. He was the head of college scouting. Year after year, we can't run the football. We run it to the edges because they sit in nickel all day. We have leverage from the receivers, and it creates pockets on edge. But let me show you. This graphic right here, take a look at it, the A and B gap. See those gaps right there between the tackles? I want you to see my face. For the entire history of football, that is the most important ground to control, starting in the run game and then in the pass game. Oh, it's always been that way. I said Grier had a unique build. He was trying to go all in on the skills and speed and just threw stuff at the wall on the offensive line. And I said, this is really, I see how it could work, but this is going against history, foundational principles. It's not like I'm a genius. This is the way it's always been. How did the Bills beat us? Allen was sucking. They got rid of pass-happy Dorsey. They brought in Brady, and he's ran the ball. They got the same offensive line all season. They got Torrance second round. We could have had him. They added all the pieces on the O-line. They got a tight end that can catch. They had another tight end that can kind of catch, kind of block. They showed to be physical. And he went from, he's the worst. He's on the cover of Madden. To now he's beating us and they won a division. We cannot run inside because we went into the season with Eichenberg, who never been a center before, never been successful in any position, who thought Connor would go down. But you're there to create the backdrop in case something happens. We went into this game with Jackson, who is our starter. We pegged him as a starter. Hunt, who we pegged as a starter. Tehran, who was, diminished a little bit by injuries. And our backup center. And you could say Jones, that's the one big hole. But the majority, who expects your entire offensive line to make it? Look, Cleveland, they lost both their tackles. Good tackles. They got nobody at tackle. They're in the postseason. They got a high, they've done really well. So you can't expect everybody to be there. But the Bills had the edge with that offense line because they were able to control the A and B gap. And I'm going to show you what our protection is. I do it week in and week out. I literally called this. I said, this offensive line's not good. 2, he's got to get the ball out fast. Is he the greatest thing since sliced bread? No, he's a system quarterback with one elite trait. Maybe you could say some others in other areas, but the release is clearly elite. But he's not super fast. He's not super big. And he's got to get the ball out 0.2 seconds faster than anybody else in the league in order to get some kind of protection. I think I lost like 5 subscribers on this, but I called it. It happened. What am I going to do? Here you go. You want to see the information? I don't know what to tell you. We had to keep 5.96, 6 blockers to block their 4. The entire game, they blitzed once. So the entire game, they blitzed once. I said it before, when you run to the edge, it does not get people out of the nickel. It does not break the nickel. Breaking nickel means they come up into the box. They got to bring the bigger bodies. They focus on the A and B gap. It's about controlling the A and B gap. You don't have to do it all game, but at certain points, you got to say, I'm controlling this. I can do it. We're second in the league, lowest success percentage on 3rd and 1 and 4 and 1. Why? Because we can't control the A and B gap. I don't know what to tell you. I'm telling you facts. I'm showing you information. I guess I should do what some people do. Dude's the worst guy ever. And then he starts succeeding. Dude's a guy. He's an elite quarterback. And then when he doesn't dude sucks. That's what you got to do, it seems like. Talk about everything except the guy who created the whole thing. The guy who's in charge. Grier. Who laughed in our faces and said, I'm not as concerned about the depth of the offensive line as these stupid fans. He didn't say stupid, but that's what he was saying. But there's no articles coming out with that video saying, whoa, isn't that ironic? Why? They kept 5.7 guys into block compared to our 6. They were blitzed 19 times, and we were blitzed once. When you block well enough with your 5, you got to bring the blitz. When you run well enough inside, you bring the run blitz. Blitzes create one-on-one. Do you know the one blitz we had? It was 1.5 seconds. It got in. Them, it was 2.56 seconds. It's called protection. Starts with the offensive line. I care about you guys. I'm trying to tell the truth, but it seems like it's just, people just want to say, who was the worst? McDaniel's the worst, and they got their issues. But last week it was Fangio. This week he let up 14 points. When will it be Grier? When? Let's take a look at this image here. This is the running attacks of the 2 teams. Miami's the top. Bills are on the bottom. Look at our run attack. The purple is good, red is bad, blue circles is areas of note, points of note. We were able to run to the edge, although the left end, 1 was for 13, so the other 2 were for 3, which is not great because it's not just about pop runs. It's about consistency to break these nickels. We ran off the left tackle, 2 for 19, which was good, 1 for 10, but then you go inside, 3 for 2, 0.7. Right guard, 2 for 26. Sounds good, but it's 1 pop run for 25. I think that was like a long play or something, like when we were down, I think it was like a 3rd and crazy long. But still, you got 1 for 25 and 1 for 1. And then you go right tackle, 4 for 12, 3-0. Right end, 4 for 27, 1 for 16. So the other 3 were for 3. This is not consistent enough. Now, you look... I'm so exasperated. I want, if we start going in, look, Tua might not be the guy. McDaniel might not be the right guy. But who brought them here? Who created the framework? How come Grier's name is not being mentioned? I think Barry Jackson might have said he's a little concerned about the core. Look at the Bills. Remember, he was a joke. He was a joke a couple of weeks ago, throwing picks because he had Shaky Bones Dorsey in there doing the same thing, going to the edge, throwing deep, and it didn't work. What did they do? They pulled him in. They ran the football a ton with Brady, and they said, listen, we're going to run the football. We're going to be physical, and that's how we're going to get here. That's how they got here. Let's look at their run attack. Let's look at their run attack. Left end, 9 attempts for 9 yards. Definitely not good. Left tackle, 2 for 1, 0.5 yards. Not good. Inside, 2 for 19 with 1 long 14. So the other one was 5, so that's pretty good. Middle tackle, 3 for 12 for 4. 5 long, that's pretty good. Middle right, 5 for 14, 2.8 with 3 long. Right, 3 for 15 for 5 yards with 1 long. Now, obviously, Allen added the 4 for 51. He had the 410-plus carries. They had 5 total, and 15 was his long. But look at all those runs inside between the tackles. That's a lot of runs. There's success in there. And that is why we had to blitz. That's why we had to bring. Now, it hurt us not having Phillips, not having Chubb, Van Ginkel going down, Good coming in. But the defense played its role. We, conversely, couldn't do it on them. We had 100 yards in the first half and went kaput in the second half. Maybe McDaniel should have called more. I was going through the inside zone. There was some nice runs on inside zone. But if you see, in the interior runs, we just couldn't do it. They wouldn't come out of that nickel. They played off. They played deep. And you can affect the edge runs like that. And we popped a couple, but they held their water. It's about physicality. Football is a game of physicality. We don't have it. Whether McDaniel is not calling enough, that's something. Mostert wasn't in, that's something. But the bottom line is, all season, we haven't been able to run inside. And that goes back to the offensive line and the creation. Dan Marino is a way better quarterback than Tua. Way better. So Greasy is not a great quarterback as far as the arm talent, all this other stuff, but he won 2 Super Bowls. How did he do it? Offensive line, running the football. Dan Marino, much more talented than Greasy, won nothing. Went to 1 Super Bowl. They played 8 DBs and shut him down, and he never went back because he never had a run-blocking offensive line and never had a run game. Could not control the center. How do we expect, why would Grier, with 2 models getting a run-D coordinator in here, give him a pass-happy offense to mimic Dan Marino of the 80s when he didn't win a Super Bowl, when we could have simply just slow built, let our young green head coach marinate, give our system quarterback a good offensive line and build like the 70s. It's got to start with Grier, but it probably won't. It probably won't. Because a lot of the top people are going to talk about, Tua, McDaniel, and Grier will be back in another incarnation with Fangio. The only thing that's going to fix this whole situation is getting rid of Grier, getting somebody in here to clean the scouting staff out, and literally starting from the beginning. When Ross made a decision to clean house, he didn't get rid of Grier, and he didn't get rid of the coaching staff, scouting staff. And the same problems have played out again and again and again. I love you guys. I really do. I could have just rode the gravy train all the way through. There was the Graves. We're going all the way. And he sucked, just like most of these other people. But I predicted all this stuff. I gave you evidence. I showed you things that nobody else is telling you about, and it ended up being right because I care. I love my Dolphins. I love my fellow fans. I love my viewers. And I'm not here to get clicks. I want the clicks, but I'm here to give the truth. And it was so tough this season because I had to go against everybody. And I figured when it all played out, at least I could say, you know what, I was wrong, but great, we're doing well. And if it goes the way I said, at least I could say, you know what, I gave you guys good info. But I lost on both ends. I don't know. Anyway, I'll give you more coverage. I know it's hard, but there's nothing else you can do. You can put your head in the sand and you can listen to Pied Pipers who aren't going to tell you the truth, or you can just say, this is what I got. I'm a fan to the death do us part. Let's be in the truth, and let's hope we actually get the right leadership here. Anyway, guys, I know it's not easy. Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with acebread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.